There's a cave in Germany where, 40,000 years ago, someone sat in the dark next to a fire and carved 5 holes into the wing bone of a vulture. Then they lifted it to their mouth and blew. A note came out. Thin, a little wild, but unmistakably a note. Nobody in that cave had ever heard anything like it. Not a growl, not the crackle of the fire, not wind cutting through rock. A sound that didn't warn anyone of danger and didn't announce food. It just existed, because it felt like something. That flute is a real object. Archaeologists dug it up, and the dating isn't close. We're talking roughly 40,000 years, which puts it before farming, before writing, before basically anything you'd call civilization. Ice Age Europe. Freezing nights where one failed hunt could mean people didn't make it to spring. And somebody, in the middle of all that, spent hours drilling holes into a bone with the precision of someone who actually knew what they were doing. Not to eat it, not to wear it, just to make a sound that served no obvious purpose at all. Ask yourself the obvious question. Why would anyone starving and freezing bother? Because here's the thing. If music only mattered once life got comfortable, it wouldn't be sitting in an Ice Age cave. It would show up later, after agriculture, after people had spare time to kill. Instead, it's right there at the beginning, competing for attention with survival itself. That's not decoration. That's priority. So what was that flute actually doing? Turns out the real answer doesn't start with an adult, or a hunter, or even a cave. It starts with a sound you heard before you understood a single word anyone ever said to you. Think about how your parents talked to you as a baby. Not talked, really hummed. That sing-song, up-and-down voice adults use on infants without anyone teaching them to. Researchers actually have a term for it, motherese, and the strange part is how consistent it is. Cultures on opposite sides of the planet, cultures that never traded, never met, never even knew the other existed, they all do roughly the same thing. Same slow rhythm, same exaggerated melody. A baby who doesn't understand one word of grammar still calms down, still makes eye contact, still responds. Not to meaning, to melody. Which flips a question most people never think to ask. What if language didn't come first, and music followed? What if it went the other way? Archaeologist Stephen Mithen actually built a real theory on this. He calls it, an acronym for holistic, manipulative, multimodal, musical, and mimetic communication, which is academic speak for early humans, maybe even Neanderthals, were communicating through pitch and rhythm long before they had grammar or a real vocabulary. Not speaking, something closer to singing. No word for danger, no word for food, just tone. Sharp and fast meant one thing, low and slow meant something else. That's more or less what a crying baby is still doing to you today, minus any linguistics degree required to understand it. And here's the detail that makes it stranger. Mithen points to fossilized Neanderthal ear and throat bones, and their hearing was apparently tuned to almost the exact pitch range of the human singing voice. Some researchers think Neanderthals might have actually been more musical than early Homo sapiens, using melody to coordinate a hunt, warn of danger, calm a scared kid, long before their branch of the family tree ever spoke a full sentence. Which raises an odd possibility. If a species could hunt, raise children, and survive using nothing but pitch and rhythm, why bother inventing words at all? Here's another angle on it. Think of a job no single person could do alone. Hauling a fallen tree through mud, driving a herd of animals toward a cliff edge at exactly the right second, paddling a canoe where one bad stroke flips the whole thing. All of that needs several bodies moving together in the same instant, with no time to explain a plan out loud. What solves that instantly, before anyone has language complex enough to count to 3? Rhythm. Picture a dozen people gripping a log, boots sinking into mud, and instead of a countdown, someone just grunts, low and steady. Huh, huh, huh. Every hand tightens on the same beat without anyone deciding to. That grunt is doing the job of a whole sentence. It's a coach, a conductor, and a stopwatch, and it's just sound. A shared beat turns a scattered group into one machine. No debate, no translation, just pull, together, on the downbeat. Some researchers think this is exactly where the first drums came from. Not ceremony, survival. Banging a hollow log, or 2 rocks, or your own chest, to lock a group's movement into rhythm. There are cave paintings showing figures lined up mid-motion, almost like a freeze frame of people moving as one. And some cave chambers, when archaeologists actually tested the acoustics, turned out to have unusually strong resonance, spots where sound bounces and grows, almost like they were picked on purpose for how loud and powerful a voice would feel inside them. So before music was art, it might have been machinery, a way to make several bodies act like a single one. But once rhythm can pull a whole group into sync like that, a different question starts to nag at you. If sound alone can move a dozen strangers as one, could it also pull one specific person toward you? Darwin actually had a theory about this, and it had nothing to do with survival. He noticed birdsong doesn't feed a bird, build its nest, or warn it of a hawk. In a lot of species, only the males sing, and they sing loudest and longest during exactly one season, mating season. His conclusion was blunt. Some songs exist purely to impress. He wondered if early human music worked the same way. Singing well takes real breath control, the memory to hold a rhythm, and enough creativity to improvise something on the spot. None of that keeps you warm or fed, but it's expensive in a different sense. It takes a healthy body and a sharp mind to pull off. So a voice that could hit a hard note or invent something on the fly might have been advertising exactly the traits worth choosing in a partner. Intelligence, stamina, creativity under pressure. Suddenly, that song around the fire isn't just entertainment. It's closer to a resume. Picture two hunters coming back from the same failed trip, empty-handed, exhausted, nothing to show for the day. One of them sits down anyway and starts singing, turns the disaster into something almost funny, holds a note just long enough that everyone stops talking to listen. Which one do you think people remember by morning? Darwin would say the singing wasn't wasted energy. It was the whole point. And once you notice that, you can't really unsee it. Every talent show, every viral clip of someone nailing a note, might be running on the same ancient wiring Darwin was describing, long before anyone called it a vibe. But if music could win someone over, could it also help mend something broken? Picture standing in a circle at dusk with the person you loved most lying at the center. Instead of silence, the group starts to hum, then wail, then chant, voices cracking together until the sound itself feels like it's carrying something too heavy for words alone. That's not performance. That's the mind trying to survive something unbearable. Nearly every culture anthropologists have studied has some version of this. Wailing, chanting, rhythmic crying passed down for generations, in places that never had any contact with each other. That's not really a coincidence. Grief that stays locked inside one person, silent, can break them. Grief pushed outward through sound, shared by an entire group at once, becomes something the whole community can help carry. And there's a hard biological reason this works. Neuroscientists have found that listening to music you love can trigger a dopamine release in your brain, the same reward chemical involved in eating good food or falling in love. Your brain doesn't just process music as noise. It treats certain music almost like something your body actually needs. That chill down your spine during a favorite song isn't random. It's old. Your nervous system is reacting to something it was built, deep in prehistory, to respond to. And that's genuinely strange if you think about it. Every other trait that's stuck around this long earned its place by keeping someone alive one more winter, one more hunt. Music never had to pass that test. It stuck around because it worked on something even deeper than survival. So somewhere between a mother humming to a crying infant, a group hauling a log in rhythm, a voice showing off by a fire, and a village grieving together in song, humans built something with no food value, no shelter value, nothing you could hunt or trade. And it survived for tens of thousands of years anyway. Next time a song gives you chills, or gets stuck in your head for 3 days straight, or gets a whole stadium of strangers singing the same line back at once, notice what's actually happening. You're not just enjoying a sound. You're running software that's been active in the human brain since before writing, before farming, before almost anything you'd call civilization. Next time you're stuck in traffic, windows up, one song on repeat, tapping the wheel without noticing your own hand. That tap is doing the same job a hand striking a hollow log did 40,000 years ago. Different century, same wiring. The same old need to turn a feeling into a rhythm, and a rhythm into something you can share with whoever's close enough to feel it too. Nothing forced music to exist. No predator required it. No famine demanded it. It stuck around because it worked on something older than survival, the part of you that doesn't want to feel alone. That flute, carved in the freezing dark of an ice age cave 40,000 years before your name meant anything to anyone, is still playing. It just moved from a hollow vulture bone into a pair of headphones, into a car stereo, into a stadium full of strangers singing the same three words back at once. Same note, same reason. Somebody, a long time ago, is still reaching all the way across 40,000 years just to make sure you're listening.